The waitress, a young woman with tired eyes but a warm smile, approached their table, pen and notepad in hand. "Good evening, gentlemen. What can I get you?" she asked politely. The lead biker, a burly man with a thick beard and a cruel grin, leaned back in his seat and chuckled. "Well, sweetheart, how about a little more enthusiasm? Smile for us, or is that too much to ask?" His friends laughed as she forced a polite grin. She ignored the comment and focused on her notepad. "Would you like coffee?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. The biker scoffed. "Oh, she's got some attitude. Tell me, do they pay you extra for that, or are you just naturally bad at your job?" The diner fell silent. Other customers looked away, pretending not to hear. The waitress swallowed hard, her grip tightening around the notepad. In the far corner of the diner, a man sat quietly, stirring his coffee. He was dressed casually, jeans, a hoodie pulled over his head, nothing flashy. To most, he looked like any other late-night customer. But beneath that hood was John Cena, the legendary wrestler, actor, and advocate for respect. His piercing eyes locked onto the scene unfolding before him. He watched the waitress struggle to maintain her composure, her shoulders tense as the biker's taunts continued. His jaw tightened. He had seen bullies before, but this one was different. This one thought no one would stop him. The biker laughed, nudging his friends. "Look at her. She's too scared to even talk back." More laughter followed, but Cena remained still, observing. His patience was running thin. He placed his cup down softly, his fingers flexing against the table. If this went any further, he knew what he had to do. The biker leaned in closer, his smirk widening as he reached for his coffee. "What's the matter, sweetheart? Cat got your tongue?" he sneered, taking a loud sip. The waitress took a shaky breath, forcing herself to remain professional. But before she could respond, the man in the corner booth shifted. John Cena was done watching. With a slow, deliberate motion, he placed his hands on the table and stood up. The wooden chair scraped against the floor, the sound slicing through the tense silence. All eyes turned toward him. At first, the bikers barely reacted. Just another customer stretching his legs, they thought, but then they recognized him. The lead biker's smirk faded as his eyes widened. His grip on the coffee cup tightened slightly. John Cena, an icon, a fighter, a man built like a tank, was walking straight toward him. The other diners exchanged stunned glances. Whispers filled the room. The waitress, still holding her notepad, looked up in shock. Cena wasn't just any customer. He was a man who stood for respect, and right now he was about to make sure the biker learned that lesson the hard way. John Cena stopped a few feet from the biker's table, his towering presence impossible to ignore. The air in the diner grew heavy, the laughter from the bikers fading into an awkward silence. Cena didn't need to raise his voice. His presence alone commanded attention. He looked down at the lead biker, his voice calm but firm. "That's how you treat someone working hard to serve you?" His words weren't loud, but they hit like a hammer. The biker blinked, shifting uncomfortably in his seat. His friends glanced at one another, suddenly unsure. This wasn't just some guy stepping in. This was John Cena, 15-time world champion, a man who had built a career on strength, discipline, and respect. The lead biker scoffed, trying to regain control of the situation. "Relax, man, we're just having a little fun," he said, forcing a smirk. Cena didn't flinch. His eyes, cold and unwavering, locked onto the bikers. "Humiliating someone isn't fun. It's weak. And if you think it makes you tough, then you've never met someone who actually is." The diner was dead silent. The waitress held her breath. The biker swallowed hard. For the first time that night, he wasn't the biggest presence in the room. The lead biker opened his mouth, but no words came out. For the first time in a long time, he felt small. The weight of Cena's words hung in the air like a heavy storm cloud. His friends, once amused by the humiliation, now sat rigid, avoiding eye contact. The confidence that had filled their table just moments ago had vanished. The other customers in the diner watched in stunned silence. A few exchanged glances, barely believing what they were witnessing. The waitress, still holding her notepad, felt a surge of emotion. Relief, gratitude, and empowerment all at once. The lead biker cleared his throat, shifting in his seat. "Look, man, I didn't mean anything by it," he muttered. His voice lacked its previous arrogance. Cena didn't respond right away. He simply stared at the biker for a moment longer, then turned to the waitress. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, thank you." The biker swallowed his pride, reaching into his pocket and tossing a few crumpled bills onto the table. He mumbled something under his breath, then stood up, motioning for his crew to leave. They walked out, not with swagger but with shame. Cena gave the waitress a reassuring nod. "You deserve respect. Never forget that." As the door swung shut behind the bikers, the tension in the diner melted away. A quiet murmur of admiration spread among the customers. The waitress wiped a tear from her eye, smiling at Cena. Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear wrestling boots. And that night, respect won.